And a very happy Friday to you at 12:08 in the West on the John Phillips Show. Mr. Randy Wang's across the glass.
John, we are a week out from the 4th of July, which means it's time for paper tiger threats from elected officials.
So together today, we are sending a unified message. There is zero tolerance for illegal fireworks in the city of Los Angeles.
Here you go, Karen.
Exactly 0 people will listen to Mother Goes.
Now, it wasn't just Karen Bass at this press conference. It was also Hilda Solis, who was giving example after example of the injuries that you can get when launching illegal fireworks, including blowing your hands off and burns. And this one's a little weird.
And a 16-year-old girl was hit by a car after lighting a firework on the street, injuring her neck, her back jaw, and her legs.
But that wasn't the firework. That was the beamer.
If she got hit by a car, can you really blame that on the fireworks?
Hilda did.
Wait, she's claiming that the driver was distracted by the fireworks and ran a girl over?
That's what's being said.
Quite frankly,
800-222-5222 is the telephone number, 1-800-222-5222. A lot of different court rulings coming in today, including from the Supreme Court. We're going to check in with ABC News legal analyst Royal Oakes later on in the program to break all of that down for us. But also, court rulings are coming in locally, where one court ordered the FAIR Plan to start covering smoke damage for fire victims.
Something they haven't been doing, and anyone that was on the FAIR Plan that their home wasn't just completely engulfed in flames and destroyed has not been getting paid out by the FAIR Plan, and so they haven't been able to move back into their home because they can't afford to clean their home on their own dime.
I hate this attitude where if your home isn't a pile of ashes, you get nothing. Because you see these homes that have experienced smoke damage, and they're basically melting and drooping, and they look funky. They look like women of a certain age who decided to save money by getting their plastic surgery done in Guatemala. And yet, when they go to the FAIR Plan and they say, my house has been red tagged by the county because it melted, the FAIR Plan says, well, it looks like it's still standing to me. Here's $900. Buy as much Lysol as you can get your hands on.
And, of course, it's not just the FAIR Plan. We know that State Farm has not been paying out smoke damage claims and not being paying out fire claims. And if you're wondering why, it's because State Farm needed to spend a whole bunch of money to sponsor the NBA draft.
Yeah, and to take Ricardo Lara on every Showcase Showdown #1.
I'm very kind of sketchy.
Oh, we know.
But for more on this ruling about the FAIR Plan, where now, according to this court, the FAIR Plan has to start covering smoke damage, here is KCAL.
A local judge has ruled that California's FAIR Plan has violated state insurance law in how it handled smoke damage claims from January's wildfires.
Yeah. What's the point of having an insurance, Commissioner?
What's the point of having insurance?
We're getting there.
Yeah, on your sites, Christine Lazar has reported.
You know, you like gambling. There's nothing that feels like a bigger stake in your life than having a home with no insurance.
I don't know. The next time I feel like gambling, if I'm really going to roll the dice, if I'm really going to play Russian roulette with 5 bullets in the chamber, I'll order the fish on an airplane.
Yeah, on your sites, Christine Lazar has reported extensively on this issue and joins us now to break down what this ruling means for fire survivors and all homeowners in California. Christine.
Sheba and Rachel, a judge ruled yesterday that the FAIR Plan is providing less coverage than required by law by forcing homeowners to prove that smoke damage has created permanent physical change to their property or their belongings.
So the insurer of last resort sells policies that don't even comply with state law, and we're just dealing with this now?
How do you prove it? I have a house in Pacific Palisades. Approved.
and be detectable without lab testing. I'm joined now by insurance expert Carl Sussman. And Carl, you and I have talked extensively about this issue. We both kind of saw this coming. But what does this mean for people who are in active kind of disputes with the FAIR Plan for their smoke damage in the Eaton and Palisades fire areas?
Well, at this point, now they have not only regulations behind them, but they have the power of the law. And they don't just have the Department of Insurance.
Which means nothing.
Can you imagine being on the phone with someone at a call center somewhere in the Philippines and they say, oh, yeah, your claim was denied. We're sorry. I would say words that you could not repeat on the radio.
They have a lot of attorneys that are watching this now very carefully. So anyone that has any type of smoke damage claim, whether it be new, old, open, pending, they should reach out to FAIR Plan again and have them reevaluate based on this ruling.
I'd lawyer up.
Yeah. I am not an attorney. I'm not an insurance expert, but I can tell you this. If your home burned down in that fire, do not deal with the insurance company by yourself. Hire an attorney to fill out all the forms for you so it's all done correctly.
And you said you already have your own clients who you know would be impacted by this ruling, and you plan to just contact the FAIR Plan and say, hey, reopen this?
We're going to contact each client and let them know, because believe it or not everyone follows it as much as I do, and tell them that, look, there's been a change. We need to reopen this claim. Even if you've been paid something, we need to go back to the FAIR Plan and say, please reevaluate this.
Instead of the $200 for Windex, you're going to actually have to pay up now.
And they were really doing that, by the way.
And let's see what other dollars we can get.
Now, you mentioned the Department of Insurance has been very clear all along saying, hey, FAIR Plan, you're violating state law, but the FAIR Plan just kind of seemed to thumb their nose at it.
Well, that's what happens when you have a regulator that is asleep at the wheel.
It's California. Anything goes.
Ricardo Lara is too busy gallivanting around every pride event in this country and going to Colombia to deal with individual problems with people and their insurance.
I may be criticized and dragged through the mud for it and get my wig snatched, as the gay guys say.
Well, as a guy who came from what? I think he lives in Bell Gardens.
Yes.
Okay. Who worked in politics, so worked for the government his entire life. To finally get to the point where he's insurance commissioner and all of these big multinational corporations suddenly want to court him, and they court him by taking him all over the globe. He's like, it's like Lauren Sanchez never even left.
So do you think this will be different, having a ruling, and do you think it will be enforced?
Well, we know it's different already because the FAIR Plan has miraculously put out a statement and said, yes, I think we'll change our language in the policy now. So they're already making that change. And I think that now that it's been decided by a court, it's going to be a lot more difficult for them to just ignore it or pretend that's not the regulations. And again, they have all of these attorneys out there.
But it wasn't Ricardo Lara that got this done. It was all the attorneys suing the FAIR Plan. They got this in court, and the court said, yes, the FAIR Plan is writing policies that are illegal.
If you're on the other side of the insurance companies, you almost have to pretend like Ricardo Lara and his office and department don't even exist. And you just have to lawyer up, and you have to try to win what you can win in court.
And again, they have all of these attorneys out there representing people. They're not going to be able to just give it the back of their hand at this point.
Okay, so regulators say they found 418 violations with FAIR Plan smoke damage claims, and the Department of Insurance then told me in a statement, I want to pull that up, the department is actively investigating the FAIR Plan's handling of smoke damage claims, including from the Los...
Boy, these investigations take forever. Meanwhile, the court already made a decision.
You notice that's what they always do. We're going to do a study. We're going to do an investigation, and then you never hear back from them.
Well, that's what Ricardo Lara did with State Farm. He approved that rate hike for State Farm. State Farm has not paid out tons and tons and tons of claims. And Ricardo Lara says, here's your rate hike. Oh, but we're also going to launch an investigation. Like that means anything.
From the Los Angeles wildfires, the department aims to resolve consumers' complaints and help people get back on their feet as they recover their lives. This ruling strongly supports our efforts. So do you think that this will help people who maybe haven't even been able to get back into their homes because they just simply don't have the money to clean it themselves?
This is going to help absolutely everybody that has coverage with the California FAIR Plan, because...
Can I get an assist there, Shingy?
Oh, you know our girl wants to.
This is going to help absolutely everybody that has coverage with the California FAIR Plan.
Thanks, Shangy.
She likes to help when she can.
because they now have the ability to go and request coverage for something that we had seen pretty systematically was being declined by the FAIR Plan when it shouldn't have been.
So what about the fallout? Is there a fallout?
I feel like, and again, not a legal expert here, but if people who pay through the nose for those FAIR Plan policies find out at the end of the day that they don't cover this, feel like there is some kind of class action lawsuit building there as well.
You would think.
Because of all the thousands and thousands of dollars people were paying and didn't have this coverage.
So what about the fallout? Is there a fallout from this that impacts more than just those people with smoke damage claims?
Well, I think what we're going to see is now FAIR Plan is being held to the same standard that all of the individual insurance companies are being held to, which is good. The problem is now that FAIR Plan is going to be acknowledging and paying these claims, whenever you start paying for something you didn't pay for before, that's going to impact premiums. So,
here we go.
Oh, yes. Any excuse they have to jack the premiums up, they take.
And they can say, well, we're going to go broke and we have to pass on that cost to the insurance companies. And then because of Ricardo Lara and the regulations he changed just weeks before the big fires, the insurance companies get to pass that cost on to us.
My premiums just went up 20% and I'm not in a fire zone.
Now, I'm sure FAIR Plan will come around and say, well, now that we have to pay for this and we weren't paying for it before, it's going to impact premiums. So I think we'll be seeing premium increases coming from FAIR Plan now that they're going to be paying for an additional coverage.
So they're just going to pass the cost along to us.
They're going to pass it along as an additional coverage now that they're going to be paying for smoke damage in a way that they didn't before.
So let me get this straight. They charged people an arm and a leg for policies that were illegal. The court said you need to cover this, and now they say, well, we're going to have to charge more.
I'll tell you, with my premiums going up 20%, not even being in a fire zone, if I'm the one that's going to have to pay the bill for all of this, I just might have to take up smoking and Ambien so I get my money's worth.
Regardless of if they should have been or not, they're going to claim that.
Make sure you hide your car keys.
Regardless of if they should have been or not, they're going to claim that now we're spending dollars that we weren't before, and the premium will reflect it.
Which really feels unfair because this is coverage that we already thought we were paying for, and now they're going to say, hey, now you have to pay even more for it.
Correct.
By the way, wasn't Ricardo Lara's whole revamping of the insurance industry supposed to get a whole bunch of people off the FAIR Plan? That's not happening.
Yeah, well, he's kind of sketch.
Correct. And at this point, at least, people should be able to get paid for those claims now for the premiums they were paying.
All right. Thank you so much. And we do want to cover the fact that we did reach out to the FAIR Plan, and they sent us a statement that reads, since last year, we've been working collaboratively with the California Department of Insurance.
No, you haven't.
No one can get them on the phone.
They hold secret meetings and don't share the minutes. They're not held to the same standards as the other insurance companies, even though, and I know a lot of people think the FAIR Plan is a California plan, it's really a consortium of the insurance companies who got to write policies that were illegal.
The FAIR Plan is kind of like the all-star game for the worst players in baseball. Every team gets to put someone on the roster.
To update and clarify our policy language around smoke damage so the language is consistent with the manner in which these claims are being adjusted. Now, we have also reported extensively on this in our Insurance Week, which we're a part of. So if you want more information on that, that's on our website. That is kcalnews.com/insuranceHQ. Rachel and Sheba, back to you.
So there you go. The FAIR Plan, thanks to a court ruling, has to start covering smoke damage, which they weren't before, which is against the law. But because this is California, the FAIR Plan can now jack up the premiums to cover the thing they were supposed to be covering to begin with.
Okay, how can these insurance companies not anticipate how they would have to, well, let me rephrase that. How can they anticipate not paying for smoke damage? If there's a fire and the house melts, but the structure is still there, you think someone's just going to live in it?
The job of the insurance companies is to find a way to not pay for something.
These homes look like jack-o'-lanterns on November the 8th.
Absolutely.
If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And Randy, with the weekend right around the corner, if you want to continue listening to us after we sign off today at 3, that's easy to do.
All you got to do is search for The John Phillips Show wherever you get your podcasts, whether it's the Apple Podcasts app, iHeart, Spotify. Search for The John Phillips Show. Hit subscribe. You could download all the episodes. You could do a Google on the YouTube. Get one of our apps, the KABC app, the KSFO app, and listen to all the episodes and listen live right here to this show every single day on the stream. You can listen to these podcasts while you're at work, while you're at the gym, or if you happen to be dining at a restaurant.
Give me the foot. I'm hungry.
And Randy, we're going to be on the air in Fresno on Saturdays.
Starting on tomorrow, Saturday, June 28th, from 2 to 3 p.m., you can hear the Fix California Hour with John Phillips and Randy Wang on KMJ AM 580, 105.9 FM, and streaming live at KMJNow.com. So if you're around this afternoon and you're in the Central Valley, tune into KMJ. If you're not in the Central Valley, KMJNow.com. Give it a listen. We are now expanding to our third market. How exciting is that?
You know, Randy, there are many state penitentiaries in the Central Valley. I wonder if we'll find an audience behind those walls.
I think so.
I mean, come on. What's more entertaining, weightlifting and sodomy or listening to us?
You can still listen to us while performing those other things.
That's true. There's a lot of multitaskers out there. In the meantime... What do you say we make a couple of listeners very happy?
Let's do that right now. 790 KABC welcomes Dispatch and John Butler with band at the Pacific Amphitheater at the OC Fair on July 26th. It's all part of the Toyota Summer Concert Series. Tickets on sale now at packamp.com. But right now, caller number 9 at 1-888-795-2222 gets a pair of tickets to the show. All concert tickets include admission to the OC Fair. Tickets furnished by the Pacific Amphitheater. Good luck dialing.
And right now it's time to open up the California Crime Blotter.
If the cashier is dummy.
Questions?
And Randy, this takes us to an area that's in the listening audience of our brand new affiliate, KMJ.
A woman was disturbed to find out that 3 idiots were trying to break into her home in the middle of the day while she was there.
That's no fun.
For more, here is Fox 26 in Fresno.
Members of a Fresno family say they're shaken up. That's after their home was broken into. Not only did they catch a suspect on camera, one of them was home when it happened. Fox 26 reporter Brianda Lemos joins us now with exactly when and where this all took place and more details. Brianda?
That's right. The 25-year-old daughter who was inside the home tells me this happened in broad daylight around 9 a.m. It wasn't just 1 or 2 people. There were 4 intruders in total with a getaway driver.
That's quite a crew.
I thought all those people were getting deported back to Chile.
Caught on camera the moment 4 people break into a home near Fancher Creek Drive and Armstrong Avenue in southeast Fresno, not knowing that the young woman who lived there was still inside.
I keep hearing like super loud banging. Like it sounds like it was inside my house.
After letting her dog out around 9 a.m. last Thursday morning, the woman, who prefers to stay anonymous for her own safety.
Every single crime victim nowadays wants to be in the witness protection program.
What does that tell you?
Says she checked her Ring camera after hearing that banging. That's when she says she saw people outside, but didn't think much of it until
I checked my Ring camera in the living room, and I like zoomed into back, and it showed like these 4 people just trying to break in.
Trying to stay calm.
They keep just slamming into a door and it's not working. So Larry, Curly, and Mo are a part of this operation.
They don't have the motor skills to do the knob.
Trying to stay calm, she called police as she says the intruders gave up on the sliding door, then turned and broke in through a window instead.
We're dealing with a real sophisticated operation here.
Once inside, they opened the sliding door, allowing the rest of the crew in. That's when police told her to leave.
Get out of there.
Probably a good idea.
I can't defend myself. I can't do anything. And so they were just like, if you can find a way like to exit out. So I left. I went outside through the front yard.
While waiting for police, she says this car was parked outside, a beige 2008 to 2011 Honda Pilot, and she noticed there was a child inside.
Oh, boy.
It's fun for the whole family. So far, the most surprising thing is that it wasn't a Nissan Altima.
Well, we should double check just to see if there is one missing in that area.
That was an Altima ALTMA 489-9410. Please move it now. You're blocking someone.
That clip is almost 20 years old.
If they left the baby in the car when they were committing a home invasion robbery, you think they cracked the window?
I sure hope so. Otherwise, we got a whole other crime to deal with here. Now, do you think they told the kid, hey, we're going out for ice cream. We just got to stop 1 second?
I don't know anything about this family, and I know the kid has got to be young, but I'm going to make a prediction. That kid is going to end up in prison.
She believes her stepping outside may have alerted the intruders.
I walked out here, and then the car slowly drives up to the side, and then I just see the three of the burglars literally tried to jump the fence, didn't make it, but they three just pushed the fence down.
These might be the most bumbling, idiotic criminals I've ever heard of.
They can't figure out how to open a door. They can't figure out how to use a condom. They have all kinds of problems.
And then they hopped in that car, and then they left.
Knocking down the old fence, which now has to be replaced.
We work hard. My parents work very hard to provide for our family, so it's just kind of messed.
I don't think she works.
Wait, the victim?
Yes.
You don't think she works?
Well, she said we work hard. My parents work hard.
Well, how old is she?
25.
Okay. Well, maybe she likes video games.
Hard. My parents work very hard to provide for our family, so it's just kind of messed up. Just for them to walk in like they own the place and then...
Well, they didn't walk in. They kind of bumbled their way in.
It took them a few tries.
Try to take stuff, then leave.
After posting about the break-in on Facebook, some suggested the suspects might be part of a group sometimes referred to as gypsy criminals.
They said it on the news, so I think it's okay.
Yeah, why not?
The whole family feels violated and has always been strict about who they let into their home. But after this, they say they're adding more security measures. Back to you, Monty.
All right, Miranda, thank you. Family filed a police report but has not heard any updates yet. More pictures of the intruders are available under this article. It's on our website, kmph.com.
There you go. The family of, well, you heard the word that they used there, that tried to break into a home in Fresno, didn't really come out with a whole lot.
Now, typically when we do these stories here, they are professional thieves. They're from Chile, typically.
Yes, there is a loophole in the way that Chilean immigrants are able to come to this country on a tourist visa, and the organized crime element of Chile comes in because Chile doesn't have to find out if the people getting those visas have a criminal record. They come in, they usually go to wealthy neighborhoods in Encino or Orange County, and they rob a whole bunch of stuff, and then they fence it off, and then they go home. That's what's going on in Fresno right now.
You think it's something else?
This is one of those sad but idiotic stories that takes place in the Central Valley.
Well, what, gypsies are what, Romanian?
Sometimes, yes.
Yeah. I didn't know there was a huge population in the Central Valley.
You want to do one more crime blotter?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
If the cashier is dummy.
Questions?
And Johnny, we're going to San Diego for this one because we've got a fake Uber driver.
A fake Uber driver? What do you mean by that? They drive for Lyft?
I mean, someone who did not drive for Uber picked up a woman who thought he was her driver, and then he tried to assault her.
Ooh, that's no good.
For more, here's NBC7 in San Diego.
He said he was a rideshare driver, but he turned out to be a suspected predator.
A case of mistaken identity.
So one victim of sexual assault has come forward, but San Diego police say there could be more. NBC7's Allison Ash is in Pacific Beach at a popular spot, Allison, for rideshare pickups after a night of partying.
I'm in the 700 block of Grand Avenue. This is right where the street basically dead ends into the beach. It's an area with a whole bunch of popular bars, and it's a very popular place for people to call for ride shares to take them home.
So was this guy just hoping that someone would be too drunk to realize that's not the car?
Well, if you're an Uber driver and you're a sexual predator, it's got to be like shooting fish in a barrel. Because if you're working a certain shift, you know that most of your customers are drunk. And what do drunk people do? They forget their phones.
I kid you not. I was watching this video of this woman on YouTube describing how Waymo is starting to expand in San Francisco and San Jose and Los Angeles. And she's sitting in the Waymo and she literally said, "While it does feel a little uncomfortable at first, I am comforted by knowing that there's no chance I could be raped in this car."
Oh, listen to this. So I called an Uber not long ago. And typically the Uber is just someone who's doing the job for extra money. Maybe they do it because they like the flexibility and I don't know, they're nocturnal. They sleep certain hours and it works for them. This car pulls up, and I'm not kidding. The driver was dressed like Santa Claus in the full costume, with the red suit and the Santa hat, the white beard, the whole thing. The inside of the car was decorated with Christmas lights, and he handed me a candy cane when I sat in the back seat.
No.
Yes. It was a gimmick Uber driver.
Oh, no.
In the case that I'm about to tell you, the rideshare driver was a fake. Somehow, amazingly, the victim was able to get his picture. It's not a great picture, but it is key evidence, say San Diego police. This is a picture of the man who posed as a rideshare driver, picking up a woman just after 1 a.m. March 15th, then driving her to a remote location and sexually assaulting her.
Whoa!
Can you imagine getting in an Uber at 1 o'clock in the morning, a little tipsy, maybe even full-on drunk, and you go, okay, I live about 10 blocks away. And then you realize that he drove a lot more than 10 blocks, and you go, wait a minute, why are we in the middle of the desert?
Might be a little frightening.
I think that's just absolutely terrible.
This is why we don't need to burn down the Waymos. We're going to need them.
Yes, driverless cars. That's the future.
I think that's just absolutely terrifying.
San Diego.
Can I get some help on this?
Shang, are you good for an assist?
I think that's just absolutely terrifying.
Thanks, Shangy.
San Diego police think so, too. They fear more women may have been attacked but are hesitant to come forward.
We are aware of how traumatic and how dangerous this is, and we want to make sure that this doesn't happen to another person.
The attacker is about 30 years old with brown eyes and an average to muscular build. He has a big nose, bushy hair, and both a beard and mustache.
You know what's funny? Whenever someone gives a physical description, you can tell what they think of you. You ever go to a restaurant where you get there first and you want to go to the table and you have to wait for someone to come because they're running a few minutes behind, and you give a physical description to the maitre d'? Oh, yes. I'll be joined by a friend who's running 10, 15 minutes behind. He's overweight. Well, let's just call it what it is. He's morbidly obese, doesn't really sleep, has huge bags under his eyes, face like a catcher's mitt, receding hairline. Nah, let's call it bald. There's an odor that he has that's really disgusting. It's a mixture of old man smell and Old Spice. Usually looks totally disheveled. Not quite like the homeless, but more like someone who would participate in a 1980s sitcom writer's room.
Police praised the woman who was smart enough to snap this picture of her attacker.
That is huge. A lot of times we have cases and we don't get that type of information. We don't get that type of visual. So that piece of evidence is huge and going to be very beneficial in helping us try to find this person.
If you're being attacked by somebody, try to get a selfie.
Well, people take selfies everywhere. So why not while you're being attacked in an Uber?
Police want people who use ride shares to make sure to check license plate numbers and photos provided in the apps. Ride with friends or let friends at your destination know your ETA.
Make them ask for your name. Don't just tell them your name. Right.
These are the same rules for that whatsyourprice.com website.
Yeah, no kidding.
If you're going to go on a date where you're being paid, make sure to tell friends where you are.
Now, everything's totally safe with Uber. However, if you call one of our cars, make sure your dental records are recent.
Make them ask for your name. Don't just tell them your name right away, that sort of stuff.
Campbell Coddington says she and her friends know the dangers and do all they can to stay safe.
One thing that I do on the rideshare apps is you can have the Uber enter a PIN, and if you do the PIN number, then it connects to their phone, and then you know that it's the right person.
Whatever it takes.
Yeah, this kind of mistrust is going to lead to everyone getting into robocars.
That's what's going to happen. I'm telling you, Waymo, that's the future.
Whatever it takes to be safe from predators like the man that San Diego police are now hunting.
This is not tolerable. We don't tolerate this, and this is not acceptable. And if somebody is doing this, we want to find them.
Police say the man was driving something similar to a four-door car, possibly a Toyota Prius. If you have any information or if you're a victim, police say you can remain anonymous by contacting Crime Stoppers. Reporting live from Pacific Beach, Allison Ash, NBC7.
So there you go. The fake Uber driver sexual assaulter in San Diego is still on the loose.
I'll tell you, I used Waymo for the first time when you and I went up to San Francisco, and you get to pick the temperature in the car. You get to pick what's on the radio. You don't have to talk to anyone. The radio thing is very important to me. Because every time I get into an Uber and they're listening to something god-awful like NPR, I wish that 20 minutes prior to me calling for the Uber that one of Hugo Soto Martinez's constituents had stolen their catalytic converter.
Let's criminalize catalytic converters. Let's criminalize copper.
We just got an email over at johnnydontlikeshow@gmail.com. from Andrew listening in L.A. who said, Johnny Cab from Total Recall is looking less creepy. Total Recall was the movie with the woman with 3 boobs, right?
That's correct.
Yes. Let's go to Monica in Irvine. Monica, hello.
Hi, Johnny. Thank you for taking my call. Hello, Randy. Johnny, great job on your interview with Alex. I saw it on Twitter. And also what I called about was I read the book that you recommended over the air, Fight, the Inside the Wildest Battle for the White House. I really enjoyed it. Although I follow politics and local news and the local issues, I typically don't read political books. And I really enjoyed this one. And you talked about the other Original Sin by Jake Tapper, which recently came out. I wanted to get your thoughts on if somebody like me would enjoy reading Original Sin as well. You beautifully explained the Fight book and the political intrigue that was described, and just wanted to get your take on Original Sin.
Well, thank you. I'm reading it right now. I'm about 100 pages in, and I've been about 100 pages in for a little while now. But hopefully I'll be able to finish it this weekend. It's good so far. It's very similar to Fight. Fight talked more about the election, so you learned about Trump, and you learned about Kamala, and you learned about all of the other players in the election. The Original Sin book is mostly about Joe Biden and the people around him and his cognitive decline. So if you're specifically interested in that, they really go into all the details, much more so than the book Fight. All right.